Previously on Cruising Sea Venture, we had a chance to encounter a lot of orca whales, go to Auk Bay where we seriously had to squeeze Sea Venture in, look around downtown Juneau and the cruise ship docks, pick up Michelle at the airport, and go on to Hoonah where we had a great time.
I didn't think this was going to happen when we walked in here.
All right, we can't have a Cruising Sea Venture episode without the Sharpie and the map. So in this episode, we enter Glacier Bay and go to Bartlett Cove for our orientation. We leave Bartlett Cove, come up here, wind around, and come into Shag Cove. From Shag Cove, we come head further north, and we go around Russell Island and come into Reed Harbor where the Reed Glacier is. Then after that, we go and travel up and check out the Hopkins Glacier. Then after John Hopkins, we come back and go to the northern end of Glacier Bay and visit the Marjorie Glacier.
This is the entrance to Glacier Bay. Bartlett Cove. This was our first stop in Glacier Bay.
We've arrived at Glacier Bay, Bartlett Cove at the big dock here for our 2 p.m. orientation. We had a chance to walk around and see what was there. It was pretty cool. The Visitor Center and Lodge here at Glacier Bay National Park. All right, we finished our orientation and have entered the park now and headed up park for an anchorage for the night in Glacier Bay. While Rosie watches for sea otters with the binoculars.
He's cute.
We've seen sea otters, seals, and whales today. Continuing our trek into Glacier Bay where we'll anchor for our first night. It's remarkable to realize that just 250 years ago, Glacier Bay did not exist. It was all ice.
Hey YouTube, I'm on watch in Glacier Bay, and you can see the color of the water is turquoise, and the captain and co-captain are napping. We'll let them sleep.
We went to Shag Cove for our first night in Glacier Bay. All right, our first dinner at Anchorage in Glacier Bay. We're having shrimp. Thank you, Jackie and Sitka, who gave us shrimp after taking us hiking. Fresh garlic bread and Caesar salad. So, prost everybody.
Prost. Prost.
To being anchored in Glacier Bay. Woo!
Shag Cove was a beautiful area. The anchorage was a little bit deep, probably 90-100 feet, like many of the anchorages in Glacier Bay, and the scenery was just spectacular. Hi everyone! Well, let's share an adventure. We had a little drama with our big white dinghy. We got a little water in the fuel. We thought we had it all fixed. It was great for a few hours and then it wasn't. So the white dinghy is in Juneau at a yard getting repaired, and we get to explore Glacier Bay in the red dinghy. So here's all of us in the tiny little red dinghy. So this is what we get. But that's okay. We're checking it out and having fun. It was fun to get off the boat and walk around a little bit and stretch our legs. We got a chance to just check out the head of the bay and wander about wondering if we'd see bears.
You can see we were there all by ourselves. It was pretty cool.
And you can see how little Sea Venture looks in the big bay.
You know, I have to say, visiting Glacier Bay is pretty emotional. It's actually on our bucket list for about 25 years. And rest assured, a day does not go by that we don't pinch ourselves and realize that, you know, we're in our mid-50s and retired and able to boat full-time, and just feel really blessed to have this opportunity to do this for extended times. It was just really special.
These are our friendly Park Service people. So, greetings, coming to say hi to us in Shag Cove. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you. Have a good fourth.
Thanks. We were actually pretty shocked to see the Rangers show up. It just was so surreal to see this tiny little boat pull into the bay.
So after checking out Shag Cove, we cruised along further up into Glacier Bay.
We got so lucky with the weather. It was just unbelievable that we had dry skies and saw bits of blue.
It was pretty cool. Everything's a long ways away, about 75 nautical miles from the southern end to the northern end of Glacier Bay. So it's like everything was 3 or 4 hours away, but it was, as you can see, pretty sweet cruising. Pretty much by ourselves. Only 25 boats at a time are allowed in the park. So certainly we never felt crowded in any way.
Are you showing up iceberg?
Iceberg!
Iceberg, dead end!
So somewhere up there is an iceberg that Michelle's talking about, but going back and looking at the video, I don't see it, but it's up there ahead. Apparently we're going to it.
We're working our way toward Reed Glacier, I believe,
Yeah.
where we wanted to spend for our second night. Look at that blue sky. That was just pretty cool, and just the mountain vistas were phenomenal.
And here's Crow's Nest Cam.
Yep.
We mounted a camera up on the Crow's Nest to check it out.
It worked pretty good.
Yeah. So this is Reed Inlet, where the Reed Glacier is located.
We cruised in, we started to head towards one side, and then ended up anchoring on the other side.
It's an anchorage where, frankly, it's like 90 feet deep, 90 feet from shore, so it's kind of hard to get anchored in a good spot, but we managed it. All right, we're anchored in Reed Inlet in front of the Reed Glacier. Michelle's chopping mushrooms to go with dinner, and can't believe she's cooking with a glacier in front of us out the window.
It's a pretty good view.
Dinner with a view.
Night 2 in Glacier Bay. Barbecued pork chops, sauteed mushrooms, mashed potatoes, green beans and carrots, and Alaskan amber beer.
Green beans and corn.
Green beans and corn, what did I say?
Carrots.
That would look like carrots. That was green beans and corn. View out the back.
Yeah.
And
Beer. Cheers.
Prost.
Look at that view. Prost, guys.
Prost.
All right, this has got to be one of my favorite things. We were sitting on the boat in the salon drinking coffee the next morning and just looking out the window, and sure enough, a bear showed up, and he just ambled along the shore, and we were able to just watch him as he worked his way down the shoreline and around the bushes and rocks. But it was just really, really cool morning entertainment to watch this bear.
Yeah, I don't think we were really expecting to see a grizzly here because there's no trees in this area at all. No forest, just this brush. But this was our first grizzly bear encounter this year in Southeast Alaska. And little did we know at the time that later on in the trip, we would find ourselves with 8 or 10 grizzly bears around us while we were on the beach. But for this trip, it was our first time.
We took the dinghy to shore and we wandered towards the Reed Glacier. And the glacier now, by the way, calves onto land as opposed to into the bay, which is why it's easier to anchor there, why it's safer to anchor there now. But the walk was much farther than we thought it would be.
Yeah, I think it was only 20 years or so ago the Reed Glacier was calving into the water, which made anchoring there difficult because of the ice in the water. But that is no more. It's receded up onto land now. It's like a raging river coming out from underneath the glacier and then disappearing back under the glacier again. It was just really interesting.
And it was cold. There was a cold wind coming off that glacier.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 or 10 degrees colder than other places. And always seemed like a breeze coming off of the ice out into the bay.
Look at that view. And the blue ice. That was amazing. Trying to get perspective.
Yeah, the Reed Glacier, I think it's 3/4 of a mile wide. The face of it, 100, 200 feet tall.
You can see the journey we had to trek to get there. It was a good walk. Again, one of those situations where the distances are deceiving.
So from here up came the anchor, and we headed toward the John Hopkins Glacier to check it out. It was pretty cool.
On the way, we passed by the Lampoon Glacier.
It's a smaller glacier that calves off into the water. And we started coming across more and more ice as we got closer.
Look at the mountains.
Yeah. Here's the cruise ship. The cruise ship, Island Princess, just called us to confirm a port-to-port pass. As it got close, Michelle and Rosie started looking at it through the binoculars.
Yeah. Oh my god, they're crazy. They're not wearing anything under those white robes. They have like short sleeves and short robes. What are they doing?
Either they're an actor, they're coming from the spa. I don't know. Maybe they came out of the sauna. They're hot.
They're praying. No, they're doing karate.
Really?
I don't know.
No.
They did a bow. Someone's taking their picture.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, the guy's robe's pretty open. You should probably close it.
He's peeing.
And in they go.
What are they doing? That was super weird.
What a view.
The view of the John Hopkins Glacier out the front of the boat, 4.8 miles away still.
Shit.
Look about. Wow, that's pretty cool.
We should just keep the camera on now.
Okay.
Both the boats stopped.
Yeah,
That was big.
that was a big
Just
amount.
watched it calf from 4 miles away.
Yeah.
The John Hopkins Glacier, now 3 miles ahead still.
Mom and Dad at Johns Hopkins Glacier. It just roared, but nothing happened. Hasn't calved since we first saw it when we were coming in the bay.
All right, here's the crow's nest view of Johns Hopkins Glacier. Check it out. We got blessed with a beautiful day. Hi! Battle of the GoPros? There was a line of ice right at the head of the glacier.
Then we headed on to the Marjorie Glacier, the most northern point in Glacier Bay.
Here's a little farther off view of Lamplugh Glacier. It kind of looks like some heavy road equipment plowed a path through there, but it's just the way the ice melts and the rock that's left behind. And if you look real close, there's a boat there. I think it's like 100 foot or so. That is a passenger ship, and they're just sitting in front of the glacier, but that gives you a sense of the scale. It's just massive.
Cruising ahead toward the Grand Pacific Glacier and the Marjorie Glacier around the corner. So we just tried to work ourselves around the ice. And you can see these little tiny pieces of ice. Surprisingly, you can hear the boat hit them. And so
and scratch the hull. It's like it screeches down the side of the hull a little bit.
Yeah, so we played it pretty conservative with the ice. Sea Venture is a fiberglass boat, not an icebreaker. And so we were pretty conservative. Maybe more conservative than we needed to be. But that's okay.
It was our first time playing around in the ice with this boat, so it was just fine. But it sure looks like we stayed a long way away.
It did. When we were there, it seemed a lot closer.
It sure felt a lot closer, yeah. And that glacier made a lot of noise. We would just listen to it and then expect to see some great calving event. But it just creaked and groaned and made all kinds of noise.
Continuously.
And we saw a little bit of calving, but and I think we noted a little bit to the left. But it
was pretty cool in the sunshine. By ourselves.
Just a piece that fell in the water over there. Oh shoot. Is that it? Is that the sound of it hitting the water? I mean, it was a big chunk, but
I didn't even see it. Where's the spot?
I don't know. See where it angles? See where the cave kind of is, the closest one to us? Yeah. And then there's one tall thing and then an angular one. Yeah. It was right above there. And that's where I saw a small fall earlier too. A small calving, if you will. Maybe, but it was like a chunk off the top that fell down. I think that noise was it hitting the water, but we saw it before we heard it. Here it comes, something else going on over there. Maybe. Oh shit. Oh, over in the corner over there. Oh, look at the darkness.
Mom.
It's pretty cool to watch this
Oh my.
glacier calve off to the left.
Look at the water. Just made a racket and then we could see it in the water. And the birds, they flocked everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm pointing. Huh? I do too.
The Marjorie Glacier is 1.2 miles in diameter, like one of the biggest in Glacier Bay. We hung out there for a couple hours, just kind of hovering around.
apparently pretty far from the glacier.
I thought we were really close, but
So did I.
looks like we're really far away. The chart showed us 1,500 feet away. Sure does seem like we were close, but on video it looks like a long ways away.
Look at the big burgy bits. That was a bigger win. Fun shapes, all kinds of shapes. And here we're
Getting ready to leave. And heading off to our anchorage for the next night. Here's a chart showing the 3 glaciers we just visited, Reed, John Hopkins, and up by the Marjorie Glacier is the Grand Pacific Glacier that no longer even reaches the water. Wanted to show you this because we found online at the National Park Service this photograph that shows the 3 same glaciers in 1900 almost touching each other. The fjords are gone and it's just all emptying into one bay, and we thought the 2 compared to each other was quite remarkable. In our next episode, we're going to complete our tour of Glacier Bay and head back to Juneau with Michelle. So until then, wishing you no wind and flat seas.
Bye everyone.